Hello everyone, my name is Alexis Wallace. Today we'll be discussing financial needs for the University of Southern California. Raise a hand if any of you believe a student's financial needs affects an admission decision. Keep your hand raised if you believe you were ever that student. I too had that same doubt until I found out about USC's financial aid program. According to admissions.usc.edu, last access on February 20th, 2020, about 2/3 of undergraduate students at USC receive financial aid. I was glad to hear that because I do plan on transferring there. Today we'll talk about USC financial aid services and how to go about applying. First, we'll talk about the requirements needed to apply. Then we'll break down the steps to applying. And finally, we'll talk about why financial aid is important to have. Let's go over the requirements. Before I can apply for financial aid from another university, I must have the requirements to transfer. These include 60 transferable units and lower division coursework for my major. After those goals are met, then I'll be able to apply. According to ELITE Transfer Center website, last access on February 20th, 2020, I can apply to transfer as early as a year before my graduation expectancy date. USC requirements are basic. The university requires you are a U.S. citizen, maintain a SAP report, and do not owe any loans from another university's program. According to financialaid.usc.edu, last access on February 28th, if financial aid is granted to me, then I'll be able to cover tuition fees, books, housing, meals, and any other educational expenses. Now that we have covered the requirements for USC's financial aid program, let's discuss on how to apply. First, when applying, we want to make sure we have all of our necessary documents. These include your social, your birth certificate, marriage license, tax forms, and etc. According to FAFSA.com, last access on February 20th, 2020, information on these documents is asked within the first 5 minutes of the process. Next, we will log on to admission.usc.edu, click Apply to begin the student application. Sometime during the process, it will ask you would you like to apply for financial aid. After clicking yes, then you'll be redirected and asked a series of questions. In my case, I would have to add USC under the column that says selected school. The last step for me is to wait to be accepted or denied in both the university and the financial aid program. Now that we've spoken to you about applying, let's talk about the importance of receiving financial aid. Not only does financial aid help students to pay a percentage of their tuition, but it also helps to cover books, hygiene, travel expenses, etc. This makes worrying about the cost of schooling less stressful. Without it, 2/3 of students wouldn't be able to afford a higher education at USC. This means student loans will have to come into effect, or we have to choose a different road to success. According to financialaid.usc.edu, last access February 20th, 2020, the total cost of tuition for a transfer is roughly about $58,000. I think it's best to say that students should be encouraged to apply for financial aid to decrease anxiety in student loans. I can now say I know USC's financial aid program is an easier route for me. We discussed the requirements needed to apply. Second, we broke down the steps to applying. And finally, we talked about why financial aid is the best way to go. I can feel at ease knowing my need for financial aid won't affect the school I want to go. Thank you all.